Children searched with metal detectors. Just one of the security measures imposed on scores of refugee and migrant children who were held for months and even years by the Australian government at one of their refugee detention centers on the Pacific island of Nauru. How old were you when you first got to the detention center?
I was 10.
And now?
12.
And now you're 12. Misbah Ahmed is a member of Myanmar's increasingly persecuted Muslim minority, whose family tried years ago to reach Australia by boat. They were intercepted by Australian authorities, who brought them to what she calls a prison.
These are the fans. It's all around the camp.
Is Nauru a good place for children?
Nauru is the worst place I have ever seen for children. As
of last December, there were at least 68 children out of a total of 537 detainees being held at this facility on an island with just 21 square kilometers of territory. The Australian government established this controversial detention centre as a response to the tens of thousands of refugees and migrants who embarked on smugglers' boats in a dangerous effort to reach Australian shores. Instead of keeping them in Australia, the authorities shipped hundreds of migrants and refugees to this camp in Nauru, an isolated, economically underdeveloped Pacific Island nation. Australia's immigration minister declined CNN's request for an interview, but in a statement to CNN, a government spokesman said stopping the boats has enabled this government to return integrity to Australia's humanitarian and refugee program, and that Australia and its partners comply with all international obligations and treaties. We wanted to go to Nauru to check out the camp ourselves, but it's not easy. First, the government of Nauru requires a $5,800 non-refundable journalist visa application fee per person, and it says it does not want foreign journalists on this small island. Second, the Australian government forbids journalists from filming or interviewing detainees at its camps. So we've interviewed 7 current and former camp residents remotely about what it's like for children to live in this detention center.
Yeah, I'm one of the few people who has ever really been able to go into the camp and walk around and talk to families inside. No journalists are allowed in. There is very little information let out of the camp, and staff who work at the centre are essentially gagged.
Sarah Hanson-Young is an Australian lawmaker who has lobbied to shut the camp down.
There's absolutely no way the Australian government can justify keeping particularly families, women and children in these camps. They can't guarantee their safety.
Children in the Nauru camp suffer from extreme levels of emotional and psychological distress, Australian government reports concluded. They also documented cases of sexual assault, saying the children should be removed. Australia says it's listening to the recommendations. In recent months, Australian and Nauru authorities have taken steps to open the camp up. Among the lucky few to be resettled in air-conditioned containers outside the Nauru camp last month, 12-year-old Misbah Ahmed. She helped start a Facebook campaign to draw attention to the plight of refugee children stranded in Nauru. Dozens of children still live in the camp's moldy tents. Despite her long incarceration, Misbah says her family still dreams of one day reaching the country that imprisoned her.
We just want to go to Australia. We want to make our future very bright.
Ivan Watson, CNN.